Cool. All right. What up? What up? Peace, 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 peace. Just want to come back with another video. Um, I want to talk about today. I want to get into a topic that that was kind of on my mind the other day. I was actually talking about this with a brother the other week. First off, I hope all's well with y'all. Hopefully, the Most High and your house is blessing whatever y'all do. First and foremost, hopefully all is going well with y'all. But I want to talk about something because I was talking about this with a brother the other week about how, and this was something that, the brother Chronicles of Judah, he brought up a while back, some years ago. He said, we have the most spiritual energy of, so-called, the Israelite man, so-called black man has the most spiritual energy of any man, any like being walking on the planet Earth. Man, it's really not a close second. So, and also he talks about, in our depths too, it's like has a certain spiritual resonance. I was just talking about that with a brother a few weeks ago, and it was a while back, like a few weeks ago. And I was like, and I told him like this, listen, man. I told him like, listen, there's a brother that I watched, brother Chronicles Judah. He even said this, but we could kind of go into more depth into it. He's like, yeah, you know what, man? I never even thought about that. It's like, yeah, our deaths has a certain spiritual resonance in our bodies and like spiritually. It's like I'm getting into it, as this video goes on, but it's just the fact that our like when we die, it's like it's just a certain certain what you call them reset with things like a global reset basically, and it really started the brother, I think on one of his Patreons, recent videos on his Patreon, brother Chronicles of Judah mentioned that. He said, listen, it really kind of started with the death of the Mashiach. It started with Yahushua. It started with the death of Christ. And that's true, because I was thinking about it even more. I was like, yeah, you know what? That's right, because after Christ's death, it was the beginning of the last days, so it was a major reset. So, that being the Israelites man, the so-called black man's death, being always like a major reset. And, even to another degree, like with the whole, of our brothers that got killed by the got killed by the police or something like that. It's just it's a major reset on things, like the whole you name them, you name them, the Trayvon Martin's, George Floyd, even though that's those are kind of other topics and other layers to those things, but I just want to say, I say that just to stay on point with the topic at hand. It's like stuff like that, our deaths, it always has a major impact on society, just like has a spiritual resonance that, because my brother I was talking to, he was like, yeah, man, you're right. Because, when other nations get, die, when other so-called races or other nations die, they don't people don't really talk about it as much. Doesn't have a spiritual resonance as much. I was like, yeah, I'm actually glad he pointed that out. Because that's true. Because, when, the men, when people of the other nations die, particularly, the men of the other nations die like that, it's not really, kind of, globalized, it's not popularized as much. It doesn't have a certain spiritual resonance. And I'm gonna get into this later, but this all kind of leads into something. But even I take this into the entertainment industry and the music world, or the entertainment industry. Even though it's really idolatry, but like my brother, he actually just came back from Africa. He told me how they still got like Tupac posters and Tupac murals and stuff like that over there. Still, I think it was at Guinea. I think, yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, he just came back from there. He said, and they still got Tupac stuff like that over there, and it's you still see all over the world, not just Tupac or just anybody. And he been dead for over plus 25 years or what's called. I remember what's called when Michael Jackson died. It was the world stopped. This is it was wow. It's oh shit. It's and this too a part of this idolatry of the of this current kingdom and current society too. That plays a part in it. I don't want to get them misconstrued, but I say that I'm bringing these points out because with our deaths, it has a certain spiritual energy to it. That's why, actually, let me get this, because that's why in because we're that spiritual energy, because we're really the closest to the Most High. So we're really, let's get Psalms 82 right quick. This no glow. It says Psalms 82 verse 6. It says, I have said, ye are gods, and all of you children of the Most High, but ye shall die like men and fall like one of the princes. So yeah, man. But yeah, to that point, that's why, because we're the closest thing to the Most High spiritually. Like, we're the closest, to the Most High. That's why, all the other nations, they're in all of us. They have that jealousy, but they're still in all of us at the same time. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, it's like, you name it. They people still, like, all over the world, this, like, the certain that certain what you call them, our deaths and stuff like that, and our body, and I'm about to get into that too. Our bodies, this has a certain spiritual resonance, and what you call them. That's not a. I'm going to switch gears a little bit, but I was just thinking about that because I'm going to touch on this too. This is like the third Jordan Peele movie that I'm touching on, because in Get Out, that's not a. The whole concept of them wanting the other nations, the Edomites in there, and the so-called white people, and then pretty much the so-called white men, and the whole, actually, it was all the other nations in that movie. So, the Edomites in that movie, one the character of Chris won his spiritual energy in his body. That's not a new concept. That's not new. So I'm about to get into a few precepts on that. So just seeing that in the scriptures, how that, like, I was just reading because I was watching like, what was it, last Saturday? I was watching little bits of Sakari, and they brought out the Jude 1-9. I think, yeah, 1-9, and because when I first read the scripture, not to digress too much, my evaluation of that scripture was wrong. But when they was talking about when they brought it out, they said how they the devil actually wanted Moses' body, and they went into it. So, and they brought, and they kind of touched on certain things. I was like, okay, damn, it's kind of brought something up to the fact that that's nothing new. Like them one of our bodies and one of our Actually, let me just get into it right quick. This is Genesis chapter 20 and 50 verse 25. I'll start verse 24. And Joseph said unto his brethren, and I die, and Yahweh or God shall surely visit you and bring you out of this land and unto a land which he swore to Abraham and to Isaac and to Jacob. In verse 25, and Joseph took an oath of the children of Israel, saying, Yahweh or God will visit you. Hence ye shall carry my bones up from hence. So yeah, man. So this is very deep right here, man. This is kind of like really, because if you think about what the Egyptians would do, like to somebody, like to a certain, like certain pharaoh would die, something like that, they would just do like some crazy like ritual to like kind of like try to conjure them up, or just trying to just like worship it and whatnot. And Joseph said, "Listen, man, that's why he did. That's why that's what the brothers from Scar they had brought out, because I always read the scripture. I was kind of always curious. I was like, okay, these wanted to take the bones out of what's called. I just thought these wanted to take Joseph was a great man. They just wanted to take him there, but it didn't really resonate with me why they wanted to do that, because the what's called the Egyptians had kept him mummified, or where that they probably would have tried to do something with his body and whatnot. So that's why Joseph's like, listen, once I die, take me out here, take me to have, and we later that Moses and once we left Egypt, they did such. We took his bones, and when they carried his bones on his way on when we left Egypt. But I say that to say it's nothing new. So there's nothing new concept of the other nations, having being obsessed with like physically our bodies. That's why with the whole organ things. That's why they they constantly they want our, like, for organ donors, or like when we die, they constantly take our organs and stuff like that. They constantly have the obsession with our bodies. Even though I bring up Get Out, because what did they want in Get Out? They wanted the character Chris's. They wanted his body, basically. They wanted it, and then he said I forgot it wasn't the Armitages. I forgot the guy's name, the blind man, the blind Edomite, or in the movie. He said to Chris, "I want your eye." He said physically because the man was conceived, but spiritually he wants his. What he was saying is spiritually, I want your eye. I want that spiritually. I want your spirit. I want your eye. I want your spiritual eyes. I want that spirit. I want your spirit basically. I want your body, physical body, but I want your like spirit too, because that is always go back to that birthright. They want that they want that. They want that, but they're never gonna get it, of course. But he said I want your eye, I want your spirit, I want your body, and they all and those throughout the whole movie. They was always like they were in awe of him. They couldn't stop touching him. They wanted his body. They just wanted his spirit, basically, man. So I'm gonna read this again, Genesis chapter 25. 15 verse 25, and it says, "And Joseph took an oath of the children of Israel, and saying, Yahweh will surely visit you, or God will surely visit you, and ye shall carry my bones from hence." So yeah, man. So that's why, because the Egyptians, they would probably say they had kept Joseph bones was there basically. Yeah, they would right. Who knows what they would try to do with it, man. So let's go to. Yeah, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 34 right quick, cause basically, man, this is really not a new concept. But of them being obsessed with our spirit and our physical bodies. That's why we just look up and read up what they want. Why they always obsessed with our body parts when we die, like our organs and stuff like that. This ain't nothing new. They really want. They just really had that. That they're in awe of us, our spirit, and even when, like I said, when we die, like that has a certain spiritual resonance. And I'd say I'll get into that a little later, because but let's get Deuteronomy chapter 34 and verse 6, and it says, this is going to Moses' death, because all right, verse 6, and he buried him in the. This is when he buried. It's talking about Michael actually buried him, because I didn't have that understanding. Shout out to Sakari for that. Because when I read Jude 1 and 9, it's actually a little story, little sidetrack. A brother actually called me talking about it. How he said some either my pastor, some white pastor had talked about, brought the scripture out, and I kept reading it over to him on the phone. And my conclusion wasn't accurate now that I look back on it, But yeah, the he in this is talking about Michael. And he buried him in the valley in the land of Moab over against Beth Peor, but no man knoweth that his sepulcher unto this day. I'm probably said that wrong. My bad. Verse 7. I'm gonna read that verse 6 again. And he buried him in the valley of the land of Moab and over Beth Peor, but no man knoweth of his sepulcher until this day. And Moses was 120 years old when he died. His eye and was not dim, nor his natural force abated. So, that's really key right here. I want to stop there. So Moses, like when he died, he was still in good shape. He was spiritually, it said his eyes was not dim. It says nor his natural force was abated. So he was still in good shape. He was still like walking around good. He was like good. So that's why we age so well. That's why our people age so well. It's just that's kind of always been that way. Our people age very well, and plus we definitely used to live longer. But due to especially now the curse is being upon us, and not following the law, statutes, and commandments. Because actually, when you do that, you live a longer life. Actually, let me grab that real quick. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse Deuteronomy 4. All right, this is Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 40, and it says, "And thou shalt therefore keep his statutes and his commandments, which I command thee this day, that it might go well with thee, and that the children after thee let me see. I'm sorry again, my bad. I should read a little bit. All right, Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 40. Thou shalt keep therefore his statutes and his commandments, in which I command thee this day, that it may go well with thee and thy children after thee, and that thou mayest prolong thy days upon the earth, which the Lord thy God hath giveth thee, and giveth thee forever." So yeah, man. So when we keep the commandments, it will give you a longer life. Basically, you'll live longer. But as a balance too. Of course, time and chance happen. Everybody, the Most High, he might, if he wants to put end your script. You can end it whenever. Sometimes it's not like our touching the past. Sometimes it could be judgment, like for that, like actually depending on how you live your living life, and sometimes he can just be merciful and take you away. But that's another topic. I don't want to get too deep into that. I don't want to get into that. But basically, the commandments, when you keep the commandments, you'll live a long life. Basically, that's why we lived so long. Basically, in the past, and of course, after the flood, the Most High shortened the lifespan, of course, but but still, we used to live way longer. Look, Moses lived 120 years. Joseph lived 110 years. Joshua lived 110 years. So yeah, we used to live longer lives. But even still, nowadays, our people we age very well compared to other nations, because other nations don't really age too well. Well, especially the Edomites, they don't really age well at all. But it's no, I can't really think of other nations that really age. They don't really age too well, except for you could say like kind of the Asians a little bit, some depending on that. But other nations, they really don't age too well. They don't age too well. And this is nothing new, so yeah, that's why we age so well. It's kind of always been that way. I'm gonna read verse 7 again. And Moses was 120 years old, and when he died, and his eyes was not dim, nor his natural force abated. So did I say natural force abated? I'm thinking I said face before when I read. I probably didn't. I'm probably just tripping. But yeah. So when Moses died, he was upright. He was still good. He was still in good shape. His eyes wasn't dim. Wasn't kind of. He was still in good shape. But but Michael the archangel buried him basically because the Most High didn't want us to worship Moses basically, because we would have worshiped Moses. So it's true. You can read that kind of in Exodus 32, because we kind of in a sense started worshiping like Moses to a degree, or once he kind of left off and those 40 days and whatnot. What did we do? So we built the calf. We started building and worshiping the calf. So this is that was kind of so the Most High. That's crazy. The Most High had that foresight. He even knew, it's like, okay, if I tell them where Moses was, they're gonna start worshiping them basically. And how we know that too, because we mourned for Moses for 40 days. So I think, was it 40 days? Yeah, it was yeah, actually, let me get 30. Okay, let me read verse 8. My bad. Verse 8. And the children of Israel wept for Moses in the plains of Moab 30 days. And so the days of weeping and mourning were for Moses were ended. So yeah, so usually when we mourn, in scriptures, when we usually mourn, it's usually for 7 days. So but after that, mourn 7 days, like Sirach says, you move on. But yeah, for Moses, we mourned 30 days. So that's why most I had that foresight. Was okay. Like if I don't give Michael the command to go bury Moses in a place that that nobody knows about. Well, if nobody knows about, they're going to start. If I don't do that, basically they're going to start worshiping Moses, because Most High knows his children. He already knows our mentality. He knows our spirit. So had that not happened, we would worship Moses. And later on, I'm gonna get that. You eventually do. Actually, let me get it, because I want to switch gears. Don't want to switch. I could kind of wait on that. I can wait on that. Because later on we start worshiping the prophets and whatnot. Yeah, all right, exactly. In verse Jeremiah chapter 8 in verse 1, it says, "At the time, saith the Lord, they shall bring out the bones of the kings of Judah, and the king and the bones of his princes, and the bones of his priests, and the bones of the prophets, and the bones of the inhabitants of Jerusalem out of their graves. And they shall spread them before the sun and moon and the hosts of heaven, whom they have loved, and whom they have served, and after whom they have walked, and whom they have sought, and whom they have worshipped. And they shall not be gathered nor buried, and that they shall be dung upon the face of earth. And and death shall be." Okay, that's just going to something else. But yeah, man. So we started even trying to trying to worship. We started, yeah, trying to worship the kings and the prophets, man. So that's what, the Most High had that foresight. But this, I am kind of, I go do. I might have to reevaluate that because this could go into I might have to reevaluate that with this too. I got to look more into this too as well because I could. I'm thinking this could be going into like Psalm says, truth shall spring forth from the earth, but you know. But I probably should have left this. I don't know. I'll probably get into that another time because but basically I would say that to say though, yeah, we probably Most High knew had that foresight. Like, okay, they were going to start. They were probably if I would have told them, or if they would have known, or Moses wouldn't, they probably would start worshiping Moses basically. So that's really kind of what it is too. So we even started doing that. So we're not even supposed to do that. So let's get Second Kings real quick, cause yeah, man, this is another thing. That's why this concept of them, the other nations and stuff like that, being obsessed with our bodies, and especially I'm thinking about the movie Get Out because really it's not really a new thing because that's the most popular one that could come to mind. But there's plenty of other movies like even like the Green Mile, stuff like that. Who they want? They wanted Michael Clark Duncan to because they know the so-called black man, the Israelite man, has the most spiritual energy, and even though that was is another whole thing because that goes into another topic on that, but they call it magical Negro. But I say that to say that that it's always like it's always the Israelite man, the so-called black man, has the most spiritual energy basically. So that's why they're obsessed with our spirit and they're obsessed with our bodies. This ain't nothing. This isn't a new thing basically. No, this is it's kind of always been that way. So yeah, this is Second Kings chapter 13 and 13 verse 20 and yeah, I'll start verse 19. I'll start verse 20. It says, and Elisha died, and they buried him, and the bands of Moab invaded the land and at the coming year. And it came to pass, verse 21, and it came to pass as they were burying a man, that behold, they spied an abandoned man, and they cast the man into the sepulchre of Elijah. And when the man was let down and touched the bones of Elijah, he received and stood up upon his feet. So yeah, there's a lot going on. A lot's going on right here, basically. So also, yeah, this ain't nothing new. So like basically, like niggas shooting up funerals, basically like that. All that funerals being shot up, or people come to a funeral. That's not nothing new. That ain't nothing new. So that's that you see that here. That's not a new thing, basically. So because the Moabites say basically during the burying of Elisha, they were basically coming. Basically, so but basically, I want to read this again though. But yeah, I'll read this again too. Verse 21. It says, and it came to pass as they were burying a man, that behold, that they spied a band of men. I'm sorry, and they cast the man into the sepulchre of Elisha, and when the man was let down and touched the bones of Elisha, he revived and stood upon his feet. So yeah, man, that's going back to our spiritual energy, because we're close to the Most High. That the spirit of those of us, we just have a certain spiritual energy like to us. That's why other nations, they want our spirit and they want our body. So because we see here like the man that was in that when he went to the grave of Elisha, he came back to life basically, man. So that just shows you the spiritual resonance we have. Like that's why these other nations they're obsessed with our like body parts after we die, or a lot of times like with the whole organ donor thing, they want our organs. They just really obsessed with our spirit and our body basically, man. So that's not a new thing basically. So yeah, basically I just wanted to touch on that, man, because it was kind of it's kind of on my mind when I was just thinking about it too. So and yeah, like the Brother Chronicles of Judah said, when we die, it has a certain spiritual resonance, and it does, and so it's always like pretty much a global reset, pretty much. Even I was gonna say this, even like like think about I'm not sure you brothers or sisters, whoever's watching like the MCU basically. So basically, after the death of Thanos, basically, which is the so-called, if you know, I would check out, there's a few brothers that touch on this topic, but so-called blue man, or is a so-called black man, basically, or the so-called purple man is a so-called black man, basically. So Thanos, even after his death, what was it basically? It was a major reset in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, basically. So all that after he died, after his thing, it was a master reset, basically. That's what they were pretty much showing you, basically, because Thanos basically does represent, it would represent the so-called black man. Basically, the purple man is the so-called black man. The blue man is the so-called black man, Israelite man. So that's what because they're. But yeah, check those brothers out. Chronicles of Judah, and it's another brother that touches on that. I think is it Elijah Israel. His YouTube, I'm forgetting, but yeah, you could and do some research on that. You could read what was it on touches on that the book Ancient Modern Britons. Actually, hold on, I'm gonna get it right quick. Yeah. This would be a good book to. This is just a good book in general to get, but this kind of touches on that topic of what I say. The so-called blue man being the so-called black man. But yeah, basically, man, it was something that was on my mind because I thought about like how the other nations is always so obsessed with our spirit, our bodies, and stuff like that. Because because we're the closest thing to the Most High. Like I just read earlier, we're the gods of the earth. So that's why they're and we're the salt of the earth, basically, like Yahweh Shah says. So that's why actually let me get that too. Let's get that too. Let's get close on this too. Yeah, this really kind of messed up. All right. Let's get here. All right, cool. Yeah, it's just Genesis chapter 25 verse 23. This is the birth of Jacob, and Esau, of course. And the Lord said unto her, two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the other shall serve the younger. So basically, man, like, when it says, like, one people shall be stronger than other people, that's going into spiritually as well. This is not only physically, because physically we're stronger than them, and not only just the Edomites, just any other nation basically. But spiritually we're stronger than them, because what other people can go through what we've been through, and still be here and still survive it. Because that's why the Most High said one nation shall be stronger than other nations, or we strong. All the other nations, so spiritually we're strong. But that's we have a strong spirit. That's why the other nations. I think I touched on this in the past. The other nations always like, why is our people so obsessed with God and stuff like that? Because it's in our spirit as the children of Israel to be, to have that, the connection with the Most High, basically. Because the other nations, they really don't have that connection at all. They don't, of course, but they're really not spiritual people. Like, honestly, they're not like spiritual people, honestly. Or if they are, this is on the left hand side. They're really like, they're in the spirit of wickedness. They're not in the even though our people are too, like, in our state now. But I'm saying just naturally they don't have that spirit. They just, they don't have that. It's not in them, basically. So, yeah, that's why I just really wanted to bring out. Hopefully, it was edifying. Still trying to get better at these videos. I'm kind of, like I touched on in the past, I might do it here and there a little bit. I kind of, fell back from, still kind of falling back from it. But, just if something's like really on my spirit to do, I really want to, touch on that, man. So hopefully this is edifying. Hopefully the Most High, how y'all's blessing everything that y'all do. Hopefully, y'all brothers and or sisters that's watching pray for y'all families, y'all loved ones. Hopefully everything's going well with y'all, man. So, yeah, man. So, peace.